Elvis wasn't racist in any way, shape, or form. And he definitely wouldn't have cared if Lisa married Michael. Because Elvis loved talent, and he loved people. And I know a lot of America would have a problem with that, although they shouldn't. Elvis definitely did not. He grew up in Mississippi, in Tupelo. You guys know that. He was poor. He was broke. He was around as many or more black people than white people. Most of his friends at the time when he was a kid were black. So he didn't see black and white. He didn't see people as color. He seen people as people. Well, that's a different take on it, and I do appreciate you saying that. Well, the Jackson family, I'm glad that we're talking about this. This is another story. This is how these videos get made where I'm talking about Elvis. Let's be honest, frankly. Michael Jackson's dad was an ass. Okay, how he stayed out of prison, I have no idea, because he beat those children. And the mom just sat back and watched it. So I understand what you're getting at with the Michael Jackson family, but what his dad did and what his mom did is not Michael. What his dad did and what his mom did is not Janet. What his dad did and his mom did is not LaToya or Jermaine or Tito or any of them. It has nothing to do with them. It's them. It's on the parents. So Elvis wouldn't have held it against Michael Jackson because his dad was an asshole. Any more than people would hold it against Elvis that Jesse, his grandfather, was a dick, frankly. Because Elvis's grandfather was a total ass who treated Vernon like shit. But nobody held it against Elvis because his grandfather was an asshole. You can't hold it against people because their families are assholes. Elvis would have appreciated Michael for his music. He would have appreciated Michael for his talent. And a matter of fact, Elvis met Michael. So this isn't something I'm speaking on the turn on. Elvis liked Michael Jackson. That's a fact. Vice versa, the whole story. They respected each other. Elvis was a lot older than Michael. Michael was born in 1958. Elvis was born in 1935. Big difference, but he respected him as an entertainer, as a person. I think Elvis would have been honored to have someone of that talent to marry into the Presley family, to be honest with you. Yeah, I understand. When Michael met Lisa Marie, we'll understand something too. Lisa Marie and Michael Jackson. Let's break it down right there. Lisa Marie was the daughter of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, the greatest entertainer that ever lived. I say it all the time. The man has sold over 1.5 billion records. He is the most successful recording artist in the history of music and is one of the most iconic people in the 20th century and now into the 21st century. Michael, other than Elvis and other than the Beatles, is probably the most iconic entertainer in history, besides Elvis. That's my cat, by the way, back in the background. But anyhow, think about that. You have Lisa Marie and you have Michael, two people who are misunderstood by music, because Lisa was the daughter of Elvis Presley. So everybody's like, oh, is she going to sing? Is she going to be like Elvis? Is she going to live up to Elvis? Had a lot to live up to. Michael, had to be Michael. By the time he was 7 years old, he had to be on stage singing and leading the thing. And basically what it came down to is these were two lost people who were trying to find their way. And they were born into this whole rock and roll pop world. And they related to each other that way. Basically, they were lost. Lisa didn't know where to go with her life at that point. Who am I? I'm the daughter of Elvis, but I want to be my own person, but I don't want to diss on my dad. And, Michael's like, I got to live up to this image that I have built, and I want to be Michael Jackson that everybody looks up to, but I'm I'm just little Mike from Indiana. You know? So they seen a kinship in each other. And that kinship was a friendship that turned into a marriage. Short-lived, but it was a marriage. It was true. She appreciated Michael, and Michael appreciated her because, you know, of who she was. Elvis would not have cared about that. You know, any more than Nicolas Cage married, Priscilla, geez. Nicolas Cage, he probably would have married Priscilla if he could have. Nicolas Cage married Lisa Marie because he was a huge Elvis fan. You know, so of all her marriages, I think Michael's marriage to Lisa Marie was more real than Nicolas Cage's married to Lisa Marie. Because Lisa Marie was married to Nicolas Cage, but Nicolas married Lisa because he was an Elvis fan. What this all comes down to, guys, is there's a lot of different people out there. There's the Beatles side, there's the Elvis people, there's the Michael people. You know, people have this bad idea that, you know, if you're a Beatles fan, you can't be an Elvis fan. And if you're an Elvis fan, you can't be a Michael fan, vice versa. Bullshit. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it 1,000,001. Elvis loved talent. Elvis loved the Beatles. Now, did Elvis love the Beatles in 1969? No. The reason he didn't like them in 1969 is because he thought they were doing LSD, they were doing drugs, they were against the war in Vietnam, they weren't patriotic, they were in our country making all kinds of money, and he felt that they weren't living up to America's standards. Okay? He didn't dislike Paul, John, Ringo, George. He didn't dislike the people. He disliked what he thought they stood for at that moment. Did he like the Beatles when they came to America? Hell yeah. He invited them to his house. Okay? And they did come over to his California home. You know, he liked the Beatles. That's why now if you hear them interviewed, you know, the two surviving members of the Beatles, Paul, Ringo, they both like Elvis. They don't hold a grudge. They understand where he was coming from. Elvis liked the Beatles. Elvis liked Michael Jackson. Michael liked Elvis. The Beatles like Elvis. You don't have to be one or the other or the other. You can be a fan of everybody. I love the Beatles, to be honest with you. I think they're an awesome group.
Paul McCartney rocks.
They are the best rock and roll group of all time, in my opinion. The Beatles. That's my opinion. That's what I feel. The Beatles are the best group of all time. Elvis is the best solo entertainer of all time, period. I think Elvis is the best entertainer, group, or person ever, my opinion. I think Michael was right up there with everyone. Beatles, Elvis. Everybody else is below them. I think it's Elvis, the Beatles, Michael. That's my opinion. And I always laugh about it because people are like, I like the Beatles, I don't like Elvis. I'm like, I don't understand that. I really don't.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I think Elvis may have looked at Michael and thought he was a little different. But did he not say when he first started, I don't sound like nobody. I sound like me. He was different. And I think that he liked uniqueness. He liked unique. So what's not to love is what I'm trying to get at. Why would he not have liked Michael Jackson? I don't understand that. Well, Michael Jackson was he was as unique as Elvis in his own way.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I seen Michael Jackson on stage live. I mean, I seen him too. I mean, Michael put on probably, besides an Elvis Presley show, the best show you'll ever see in your life.
It had to be.
Honest to God. I mean, I seen Michael Jackson on stage, and his backup singer was Sheryl Crow.
Yeah. I mean, how cool is that?
He was singing Dirty Diana to Sheryl Crow before Sheryl Crow was Sheryl Crow. And, I mean, it rocked. I'll be honest. It rocked. I seen it at the Cleveland Coliseum in Cleveland, which is actually in Richfield. It's in Richfield. It was the Richfield Coliseum. I seen Michael there. Elvis was the first person to perform there in a live concert at the Richfield Coliseum.
So
I seen Michael there. Michael rocked that house. Trust me.
So if it's not because of his race, why do people keep saying that Elvis would not have liked Michael? If it's not his race.
It's exactly what it was.
It's his race.
It's exactly what it was. I mean, people beat around the bush, and he was very complimentary to me. And that's cool. And, so I'm was trying to talk around it, and they said it wasn't about the race, so I'm gonna believe what they have to say.
Well, I mean, it may not have been, but I don't understand what else it could be, because, I mean, Michael Jackson was incredible. I mean, he was awesome. What about him would Elvis not have liked?
There's nothing.
I mean, would he have preferred a good old boy for his daughter? I mean, I don't understand. She was a grown woman. It is her choice.
I mean, she was in her, I believe, her late 20s when she married Michael. I don't see what the big deal was. Lisa's a year and a half older than me. And I think he got married to her in the early 90s, mid-90s. So, she was young, but I mean, I explained why she married him. I mean, they had a kinship, honestly. I mean, Michael was this icon, and Elvis's daughter was the daughter of this icon, and, they were trying to relate. What the hell, basically, what's going on? Who am I? What is this all about?
I agree, TCB. I think they would have, too. I don't think Elvis would have stood in between Lisa's happiness. I don't think he would have took advantage of being her father and who he was, and took advantage of that. He wanted her to be happy.
I mean, let's be brutally honest. Elvis met Priscilla when she was 14 years old. Okay? Just 14. Just turned. She's wearing a little frickin' sailor outfit, looking like a little girl. He's 24 years old. He's at the piano singing, and she comes over. She claims she doesn't know who he is, really, other than, sort of. He's Elvis, but nothing like amazing. Oh, Elvis. She's not like a huge fan or nothing. She comes over. I mean, she looked older than her years, but she didn't look like she was 20 or nothing. She was a little girl. Nobody told Elvis, outside of the fact that, hey, don't do a Jerry Lee Lewis or Jerry Lee, don't pull a Jerry Lee on us, You have to wait till she gets older, But nobody told him, hey, stop what you're doing. I know you don't love this girl. Walk away from her. Because he did. He loved her.
And he walked away.
And then she came back, and he brought her to Graceland when she was 16. And he got permission from the father to have her there. He promised he wouldn't touch her in an inappropriate way until she was 18. And the whole point was, he wasn't stopped from doing that. And let's face it, that could have been a killer to his career. Like I said, ask the killer if that was a killer to his career. It destroyed him. It almost took him out. I mean, basically it did, because Jerry Lee could have been a lot bigger star than he is. I mean, when he married his 13-year-old cousin, it destroyed his ass. Okay? And Elvis was sitting right after seeing that. Here's Elvis, 14-year-old Priscilla. You don't think Vernon didn't come up to Elvis and go, dude, you really need to rethink this? You don't think his boys didn't come up to him and go, hey, she's a little girl, you need to rethink this, Elvis? Because I can guarantee you they did. They did. They totally told him to stop.
So why would he step in then and say, no, Lisa, and prevent that? I don't believe it. It does not go along with what I believe of Elvis Presley and who he was. He would not have done that. He would have wanted her to be happy above all cost. And whatever his issue, whatever these people think that, the problem that he would have had with Michael Jackson, I don't believe it. I don't think he would have had a problem. But whatever they think his problem may have been, I don't think, it's just stupid. I don't believe it. He would have wanted her to be happy.
Well, the bottom line is, she was his little angel.
Exactly. And he wanted her to be happy. Why would he stood between that? Just because he didn't like Michael for whatever reason. So to me, it makes no difference whether he liked him or not. I mean, he would not have stopped the wedding. He would have not have stood in between her being happy.
Bottom line, Elvis would have wanted Lisa happy at any cost, no matter what. If she would have came to him and said, listen, I'm marrying Michael, we have a kinship, I'm close to him, I feel strong about this, Elvis would have honored her wishes. Because, as I said before, I don't think Elvis would have appreciated if people would have stopped him from marrying Priscilla or pursuing Priscilla when she was underage. At all. Period. End of story. It wouldn't have happened. All he cared about was her happiness. That's it. Till the day he died. Matter of fact, the last things Elvis was doing was spending time with Lisa Marie. When Elvis passed away, the last days of his life, he was at Graceland and Lisa was with him. His goal, ironically, very time-oriented right now, his goal was to get a copy of Star Wars from George Lucas so that he could watch Star Wars at the house with Lisa. That was his goal that day. He tried to get a copy of Star Wars. It was still in the theater at the time. He was trying to see it at home with Lisa because he didn't want to leave the house and go to a movie theater because obviously you'd had to rent it out and closed and all that. He wanted to see the movie with her. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see it with her because it didn't get to him and they didn't agree to do that. But that was his goal. He wanted to spend the day at the house. Think about that. Spend the day, one of his last day, he wanted to spend the day with Lisa watching a movie. He wanted her happy. That's all he cared about, period. He wanted his little button head to be happy. Elvis respected Michael, appreciated his music, appreciated him as a performer and as a person. He never would have had a problem with Lisa being married to Elvis. Because the only way he would have had a problem with that is if he was racist to the idea that he was black. And Elvis wasn't racist in no way, shape, or form. And he wouldn't have had a problem with Lisa being with Michael. Period. Let's put that to rest right now.